Good morning, everyone. It's Mike with Hives Jefferson City, and we're here at the Governor's Mansion this morning, and we're going to be installing a couple of queens into the two hives you see here. We're going to get started with the First Lady's hive. Let me get it opened up here for you. Get my veil up real quick here. Last week, Thursday, we split the Governor's hive, which is the one over here, and put the split in this hive, which died out over the winter. And we put enough resources in here for them to make their own queen, but we've decided to go ahead and add mated queens, so we're that much ahead of schedule for the honey flow. It takes 16 days to make a new queen, and then it takes her another 10 days before she starts laying, and then when after she lays that first egg, it's another 21 days before there's new bees in the hive. So by putting a mated queen in here, as soon as we put her in there, or shortly after, she will start laying eggs, and things will be sped up quite a bit. What I'm doing right now is I'm looking for queen cells that they've made since we did the split last week, and I'm going to take those queen cells out so they will accept this queen that we're going to introduce into the colony. There shouldn't be any brood up in this top box, but I'm going to double check just to make sure I didn't put a frame up here. I don't remember for sure. There's just what we call food, which is honey and nectar and pollen in this top frames. So I'm going to go pretty quick here. Oh, there is a frame of brood up here. I guess we had too much brood to leave it down below. I want to check to make sure, because this is the frame that they will put the queen cells on, because it's the one that's got the resources for them to be able to make a queen from. So, and I don't see any queen cells. There was a couple of queen cups at the bottom, which I smashed. They were empty. There was nothing in them. Again, another frame of food. That's an empty frame. Got a little bit of honey on that side. And that's an empty frame with a little bit of honey. And you can see the bees are working that frame, getting it cleaned up. There's an old swarm cell or emergency cell or a super seizure cell. No telling what they were doing with that, but I think it's from years past. So I'm going to slide these all back together, put that other frame in here, and lift this box off, and we'll go down into the bottom box and look for cells down there. These frames are stuck in here with what we call propolis. It's the bees make it. It's made from tree resin, and it's antimicrobial. It's their immune system for the hive. Okay, let's get down here into this lower box, find the brood frames, and take out the cells. Nice frame of brood. This is all worker brood right here in the center of that frame, and that side too. But evidently there wasn't any brood young enough or eggs on that frame that they could make a queen out of, because they didn't start any queen cells on that frame. Here's another frame with a little bit of brood on that side and a lot of brood. Now you see there's a difference in brood. This is the male bees or drones, and this is the worker bees, the female bees, in that brood. Funny fact, the drone brood, or the drones, now there's some cells. And they were trying to make a queen. The drones don't have a stinger. They don't contribute to the hive by bringing in resources or anything like that. Resources being honey or pollen, water. They don't produce wax. All they do are mate with the virgin queens when those queens emerge out of those cells. And they don't even actually feed themselves. The worker bees feed them. So a lot of people say that they're a drain on the hive. Yes, they are, but they're a necessity, because without the drones, we wouldn't have bees, because they have to mate with the virgin queens and add their genetics to the queen's genetics and produce new bees, worker bees. Now the queen lays the eggs, and the worker bees take care of the eggs and raise them up to be more bees. They do all the work in the hive. They bring in pollen and nectar. They take care of what we call brood. A couple more cells there. They take care of the brood and raise the brood. They put away the food, the honey, and the pollen stores, so they have food for the slow times when there's no honey or pollen coming in. They guard the colony. They do all the jobs except for reproduction. And the queen, she is the main part of reproduction. She produces the eggs, whether they're fertilized or not. A fertilized egg will turn into a worker bee, and an unfertilized egg will turn into the drone. And they don't have drones year round. In the fall, early winter, they kick all the drones out, and the queen had already stopped making new drones. But it isn't the queen that makes the decision when to make bees or when not to make new bees. It's the worker's decision. And it's also their decision to swarm. So as beekeepers, we try to keep the bees from swarming, which is an act of reproduction for the entire colony. What happens is the current queen, anywhere from half to 3/4 of the, now let me put her down in the roll back. Half to 3/4 of the population will go and make a swarm and find a new home. And before that happens, the worker bees start making swarm cells. Okay, this is the container we've got our 2 queens in. Open it up here. It's got some worker bees in here to tend to the queens. It's got a napkin that's wet to furnish them water, because there's no water in here, and they need water to be able to process the sugar that's in here to feed them. And then there's 2 queens in the queen cages. Let me see if I can get a close look at that. in the queen cage. You can see her in there. I've got tape over the end. In that little tube, there's what is called queen candy. And that tube is filled with the queen candy, and it keeps the queen in and the worker bees out until such time they release her by eating the queen candy. And I've got the blue tape over the end, so that slows down that process. Both queens are doing fine. They're nice and slim because they haven't been laying any eggs for the past several days. I'm not sure when they were caged, but they haven't been able to lay eggs. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a small hole in this tape so the bees can eat through that, and then they can get into that queen candy, which is powdered sugar and honey or water. And sorry about the train. Honey or water that make up the queen candy that the bees will eat through to release the queen. I've got to pull a frame out of here. And I'm going to place this cage with this queen. Now see those bees on there? They're looking for a new queen, so they're happy to see this queen. I could possibly release her just directly, not let them release her, but I'm not going to take a chance of them maybe killing her. So we're going to release them. We're going to release her, let the bees release her. I'm sorry. So we're just going to push it into this comb here, and they will feed her through the side of this thing until such time that they get her released. Since they're not following her, I think I'm going to take that off, because that really slows it down, and I'm not sure how long she's been in here. I don't think I can get a picture of what's in this thing. But you can see the white candy in that. Normally the tube is full, and they were already eating some of the candy out of it, so that's why I had to tape it so they wouldn't release her prematurely. Come on, girl, get out of the way. Most of the bees in this hive are going to be nurse bees. So since it's been since last Thursday, they're not going to be as aggressive as the forager bees. So they're going to be ready for a new queen. See if that's going to stick. Okay, it is. So I'm going to put this down in here real gently, so I don't knock it off that frame. And once I get it down in there, I want to push those frames together so it holds it in there. Now typically I would come back in about 4 or 5 days and check that and see if the queen has emerged, which I'm hoping to be able to do. But now let's put this back together and we'll do the governor's hive. It's going to be a little bit different situation. That's heavy. My nose is running this morning. Allergies. We like the pollen for the bees, but it does a lot to my allergies, so. Yep, my lid's over here. Okay, we'll let those girls settle in. Let me bring you over a little closer so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So last Thursday, as I said, we split this hive and put half of the brood in that hive and left half the brood in this hive. The bees that we had on those frames, a lot of them were forager bees, and they flew back to this hive because this is the hive that they're used to going to. So that's why the population is down over there. But that queen, as soon as she's released, she'll start laying eggs and the population will grow pretty fast. See if I can get this first frame out of here. Let's see, that first one is broke. I'll get the second one out. So what I'm gonna do, there is a queen in this box. I guess I just need to go down to the bottom box right away because there's nothing in this top box. Yeah, there might be some brood up here, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go to the bottom box so I can try to find the queen. And depending on how long it takes me to find the queen, I may speed the video up or cut some of it out so you don't have to sit there and watch me look for the queen. But I've got the queen excluder on here. We know the queen was down in the bottom box. We put the queen excluder so she couldn't get it up into the top box. And that helps me by limiting the number of frames she could be on to 10 rather than 20. I'm going to check, make sure she's not on the bottom side of this queen excluder because she could very well be there. And hopefully that's a broken frame also. So hopefully the first couple of frames I will find her. Sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. Kind of the luck of the draw to an extent. Having the right frame that the queen's on, but then you also have to spot her on that frame, and sometimes they're a little hard to spot. Got my frame rest. Should have had that already on here. This way I don't have to set this frame on the ground. She's not on that one. So we'll put that frame right there. I need to get my nuke box open and ready so whenever I find the frame she's on, I can put it in here. That way I'm not fumbling around with the frame with the queen on it, trying to get that box open and the frame out to put this frame in. These girls are a little more agitated than the other colony for some reason. You would think since they've got a queen, they wouldn't be agitated. Oh, they got queen cells on that frame. That's not a good sign. I'm not going to tear it. Well, I've got a queen, so it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to leave them for right this moment. I may take them home and let them raise those cells and have a few more queens that way. But what we're doing is making what we refer to as a resource hive. And if we have one of the colonies die, like the first lady's hive died over the winter, we could have, if we had a resource hive, we could just put it in there and going on. If we need a queen in the colony, for some reason she dies, or we accidentally smash her or something like that, we can take that queen and put it in the new colony and keep going without too much of a time frame between. As I said earlier, from the time the egg is laid that will make the queen till the first bee emerges is 47 days. So a lot of production is lost in that period of time. And I want to find the queen in this colony, because if I put the new queen in, they're going to fight it out. But we want the new queen, because she's got a younger queen. We want that queen to be the new queen for the colony and not the older queen. And sometimes it doesn't happen that way if there are two queens in the colony. The older one wins out. If I don't find her this first pass through, I'll probably speed the video up going forward. What I'll do is I'll go back through the frames looking for the queen, but then I'll also be looking for signs of a queen, which are eggs in the brood. If I find eggs, I know she was in here the last 3 days. So if I don't find eggs, something may have happened to her when we did our split last week. Go on, girl. And those cells weren't swarm cells, they were emergency cells, like something happened to the queen, or they could be supersedure cells, but normally supersedure cells, they don't make that many of them. So I'm thinking something may have happened to the queen. Okay, well, I'm going to stop talking here in this part, and I'm going to go back through here and concentrate on trying to find some eggs and the queen. Okay, well, I didn't find her in that box. I didn't see really any eggs. I don't think there was any eggs in that box. So that leads me to believe that she's not in that box. I got to thinking while I was looking through this box, she could have mistakenly got put in the top box last week. So I'm going to put that box back on here, and I'm going to go through it and see if she happened to be in that top box. what I'm looking for is the queen, but also I'm going to be looking for eggs. I don't know why I put that back down in there. I need that out so I can get these other frames. Which is an indication that the queen's been in there. So, for the last 3 days. You might have noticed me checking the frames and then shaking the bees off. That's so I could see whether there had eggs in there and I didn't miss any queen cells, because regardless, I'm going to put the new queen in here. We just may not have a resource hive with a queen, which I could have kept those cells that I found earlier and I knocked down and put back in the hive and made another queen, which is, after thinking about it, that's probably what I should have done. But since I had the equipment and stuff here, but I didn't. I got in a little bit of a hurry. And I wasn't thinking straight. And as you can see, there's not as many bees up in this upper box because it didn't have any brood in it. The brood has to be kept at a constant temperature of about 92 to 97 degrees. So in the colder hours of the day, the bees are all over the brood to keep it warm. And then when it warms up, they spread out throughout the colony and go out foraging and whatever their job may be for that day. And the frames have fewer bees on them. That's why we do our inspections between about 10 and 2 o'clock in the daytime, because that's when most of the bees are out foraging or whatever. Fewer bees in the hive to contend with. Still looking for the queen and eggs. Once in a while I'll blow on the frame to move the bees around. Double check, make sure there's no eggs in this. So she's been up here. It takes her about 3 days to lay up a frame of brood, a full frame of brood. She can lay anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 eggs a day, depending on the time of the year, how much is coming into the hive, being pollen or nectar. But it takes her a while, so she'll start on a frame and she'll lay that one up because it's more efficient to keep that larvae warm if she lays one frame at a time, or if she does lay it, she'll lay it in the center and then go to the next one and lay another pattern about the same size as the next one. Sometimes these were all empty frames last Thursday, so sometimes it's hard to find the eggs when they first start laying in a box. That one's pretty well full of nectar, pollen, and bee bread. That's a foundation comb or frame. Another foundation frame. Okay, well, I'm going to have to go back through this one more time real quick, check for eggs, and then I'm going to release the queen. So I won't be doing any talking when I do that. I will probably speed the video up in post-production. Because this video is getting to be longer than I'd like it to be. Okay, well, I've got to take this box off so I can put that queen on a frame that's got brood on it. I'll pull a frame out of the center here that had where the brood was at, and that one doesn't have brood on it. Probably could have got by with putting it on there because this one next to it's got brood on it. And it's the one that had the cells on it that I took down. So I'll check one more time for eggs on this one. This, since they have the majority of the cells on this one, this was the youngest brood in the box as of last Thursday. So, and I'm not seeing any there. Got to get rid of some bees. And none there. So, okay. Let me get the out of the queen. We'll install her like we did it in the other box and close it up. So what could happen is if that queen happened to be still in here, which I don't think she is, I'm not sure what happened to her. I'm going to lay this on there and see what they do with it. But if the old queen is still in here, the two queens more than likely will fight it out, and the winner will be the new queen for the queen going forward for the colony. The old queen could kill the new queen, and the new queen could kill the old queen. And the queens, I could have, again, I talking and not paying attention, I could have taken that frame with me and made another queen. The queens will work it out. The old queen in this colony is marked, so the next time we see the queen, we'll know which queen has won. They're not attacking that queen at all, so I'm going to take this off so they can release her quicker, so she can get right to land. One more check and she's running around in there. So I'm going to put it right here by this brood. Kind of push it down in there. and then set this frame back down in the box here and push that frame against the other frame next to it so we don't knock it off of there. Let's see, I need to put this one back out here toward the outside because those are brood frames. Well, you got to see how we install queens. You didn't get to see me make a nuke up, but I hope you enjoyed following along today. And if you did, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Until we see you out the bee yard, happy beekeeping, and thanks for watching. I'm going to let you watch me put this back together